your own timers ready, not only for your own speeches, but also the others, so that you can deliver your POIs appropriately. Without further ado, let's welcome the Prime Minister. Here.
Am I audible?
Out and clear.
Okay. Let me just set up my timer first. I'll start my speech. Oh, first thing first, my PI preference, you can just unmute yourself. And then I go by see her. I'll start my speech in three, two, one. This is a after motions as the LGBTQ movement. So we need to emphasize the benefit of it in the perspective of a movement who has member in community, right? The burden here, government will prove that why prioritizing this type of chosen family promotions in a conservative area is more urgent and important as an LGBTQ plus movement towards day, right? Choosing family as a mechanism, it can be your besties who understand you, a community who you are comfortable with, and you bond a relation such as emotional support. So it is not like you sign an adoption paper and then get randomly picked, right? But it's about you bond a relation and accepted by both parties, you and them, when both of you already in the state of comfortable, such as being a bestie, being like quote unquote partner in crime, and etc. If they said that this is hard to do the promotions, or no one are going to accept you because accept these promotions and movement because it is in a conservative area, but eventually the target of this movement that is LGBTQ plus, the queer that are need the place that in that area will eventually be get this market get this movement and welcome us, right? Let's characterize the actor in chosen family, which is another party who will accompany you. First, they are close with you and understand you, maybe coming from the same experience or maybe platform with you. They're likely to accept you and even support you to be accepted in your family. Our position cannot say about what if they are being toxic and reject you to get acceptance from your family. But I think that it is very, very dystopian. As here is the thing about this actor, they already very, very connected with you. That they know the intentions of you to get acceptance in your family in order for you to live better. Maybe advocate being accepted is where we would prioritize. It doesn't mean advocating to be the accepted in your family disappear, but while choosing family promotion is what should be prioritized and urgent and important. So by mechanism of our prioritizing, we preempt for people whose family won't likely to accept by providing them these promotions. Promoting is our mechanism is promotions, promoting this may create maybe a platform beforehand for especially LGBTQ plus community to share, to meet, to have their besties, to can choose what that I want to bond with chosen family and relate into chosen family in a safe place. We do not condemn them when they choose family acceptance, but we promote that there is one step of being accepted that you can be with before get into the family acceptance, that and even get both social and family acceptance for you, because it is harder to get family acceptance that you know your family coming from this area, this conservative area, right? It's a conservative area where people who are traditional, most of them, they don't really accept the concept of LGBTQ plus. Conservative conservative people, they need time to process who you are, how you say the messaging is important and relevant for them, right? That is why you need to know how to start in messaging for conservative people by approaching and normalize on this is how I should message them. LGBTQ in conservative area to be seen as a wrongdoing and should be corrected, but as an LGBTQ plus movement with member, what is our interest? Our interest as a social movement fighting for the rights, dignity, and visibility of queer individuals, right? Their interest is to protect the mental health of these such as member LGBTQ plus, because mental health is the main interest. LGBTQ is very, very rejected and oppressed in that area. Mental health is one of the interest to fulfillment as a big movement. And chosen family were a place where people not biologically related who give emotional support, care, love, especially when someone is rejected by their biological family and their environment that is conservative, not going to accept them. Member of LGBTQ movement, what do they need? That is acceptance in both social and family, and also for themselves. accepted themselves. But looking at the conservative area context, it is likely for them to think about on how to say appropriately in order to be accepted, right? Because do not invalidate that family is the biggest bond you'll ever have, but to accept yourself first and then have support system from the other is most important and urgent if you oppositions want to get acceptance in your family. How? First, prioritizing this should be the one. First, this promotion movement is a very first step to reach acceptance in both social and family. How? When you are with chosen family, at first you likely to be accepted as we define the mechanism of chosen family itself. You likely to get people who understand you first and can give you feedback or understanding on how to say about yourself in your family to get better acceptance. So that in our side of the house, we have our members who accept themselves first, who have someone to accept them first, and then they can still get a bigger acceptance, which is their family. It creates a safety net for them, right? General chosen family is less toxic than family acceptance in conservative area when it comes to it's like your first time to come out or being accepted, right? They have the strong emotions with you, they have connection, they'll understand you. Worst case, chosen family is still toxic because they just want to exploit you in a vulnerable state, right? But a family is best case in opposite side of the house, family is accepting and they have the very strong bond with the most important things in the world like family. But that here we're going to flip that this motion is about prioritizing promotion, not to push the obligations, which means we need to give priority with objective assumptions whether which priority choices should be promoted of the most of our LGBTQ plus here in motions live in conservative area. Okay, we need them to be very open to our platform, bond a chosen family, and be close in order to understand this. How you can messaging your conservative family, even get positive feedback from your chosen family. We are giving more step before family acceptance, right? We believe both are important, but in conservative society where the biological family is deeply like central, we are not going to give them up, but we're trying to promote at the very least prioritizing to promote the chosen family. Then the status quo is better, not saying that family acceptance is irrelevant, because after here there are two layers. First, LGBTQ plus member in general who needs advice and who needs acceptance. Second, are vulnerable actor of these people that are part of LGBTQ plus but live in conservative area, which their family and friends are conservative, hold the idea that I explained before, right? With the urgency we told you, we are going to protect their mental health by giving them an option to be accepted and to accept themselves. And how? Without with less mitigated harm, we prioritize to promote chosen family, right? This is a safety home for vulnerable actor when member of LGBTQ plus Q plus from conservative area, they don't have anyone, right? Because the idea, like I explained before, are rejected. There are other vulnerable state. They doesn't even accept themselves. Sometimes they gaslight themselves that because of the society around them doesn't accept them. They gaslight themselves to make them fit in that conservative society. This is their vulnerable state, and this is matter. And chosen family by our mechanism, we born together from this chosen family. The love and support and mental support, they give validations that is most important this status quo, right? And that is yeah, thank you.
The Prime Minister for that speech. Next, we'll have the Leader of Opposition. Here.
Am I audible?
Loud and clear.
All right. Wait a second. My POI preference, just unmute yourself, and my favorite pronouns are she, her. Give me a second. Okay. So sorry. Okay. I'll be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. A few responses is first, their characterization of chosen family is something that we also agree with and will engage with them. But again, chosen families are formed by similarities of identities, and people might change and they might have different pathways later on. How does the government define support within the chosen family that they are promoting so much? Yes, we do agree on the very concept, but identities can get you so far until you become strangers again. In biological families, there are a lot of connection that still by you, like the possibility of having tolerant siblings, parents, or grandparents. And meanwhile, just relying on identities doesn't guarantee on that anyone can step up and lead the family or take care of the members. The role of the parents and siblings are chaotic, and this isn't even a parent or sibling, right? The chosen family could be like, oh, someone that is your age, but you feel like they accept you. That's why you think of them as their family. So in an ideal world, you can say that this chosen family concept should actually be defined, should have a clear definition, so we know that what is actually included as a chosen family. Second is that the same about mental health is not guaranteed within chosen families. For context, sometimes your chosen family can push you into roads that you might not want to step in. Yes, they might say that, okay, they care about your mental health, but there is still chances that, oh, they use drugs, or they are an alcoholic within the LGBT chosen family, because those are one of the examples how you even how even if you choose a chosen family based on identity, you still might not know them as a whole. You don't know what their dreams are, or like what they do in real life, and yada yada and etc. Now, onto some counter framing. That first, we know that it's hard for the LGBTQ plus community to be accepted in conservative area. We agree with that, but we need to actually define what conservative area mean, because we think that conservative area mean that, okay, these people still hold on to traditional religious, traditional values such as religion, culture, but that doesn't mean that they are always abusive or they are extremists and they will actually hurt you. So most conservatives these days are older generations that, okay, they are already exposed to the concept of LGBTQ plus. They might not agree with it, but that doesn't mean they will just attack an LGBTQ plus in the street, because that is not the normal conservative. So we should also not stereotype conservative people as extremists. So that's why we think that unless your life is not threatened, we should not just advocate with queer people to prioritize choosing family. Second is that we also agree that, okay, there is nothing wrong with choosing a family, since it allows you to reach more people who have something to share in common. But what we want to achieve as a movement here is to ensure our people are actually happy and sure in their life choices, because prioritizing one method to be advocated means you're trying to change the perspective, and you're trying to convince people to follow one specific narrative. And this is why that we think that this motion is not actually the right approach towards a conservative environment. Seeing this is not only talking about one family, but maybe it could be a lot of people in one area. And we also see that in the long term, this could cause harm, which I will elaborate later in my arguments. And third, this is very important. Throughout decades, the LGBTQ plus movement has been advocating for acceptance in conservative areas. They advocate for freedom of expression and tries to show that just because your gender or sexual orientation is different from what traditional society thinks doesn't make you a lesser person. If we, as a movement, choose to shift our focus in what to advocate and what not, we think that it's the same as giving up or dropping the fight we had since the movement was created. So we think that we can advocate both narratives at the same time, because they could be aligning with each other. Our best case scenario is when a biological family accepts you as an LGBT member, you could also still find a chosen family outside your family. Now, how we do this is by still advocating for family acceptance, because it serves many benefits, while advocating for queer people to also find their chosen family outside. Because again, we don't have a clear definition about this. It could be just like friends or older people, younger people. So we can do this by the portrayal of some well-known figures in the social media, such as Dorce or Remington, Dr. Boyka, or even Ian Hugen, who is a decent human being, and society is slowly accepting them. And we can try to highlight them or their roles through the media for representation purposes. They also become a living proof that you don't have to prioritize chosen family and abandon your biological family. Now, into my first argument, this could lead to more queer people easily leaving their family without thinking further about the potential risk later on. We have to remember here, even that in the context, it says that, oh, the reason chosen family exists is because of similarities in social and financial problems or etc. But in conservative areas, will engage in golf world where, okay, perhaps these people want chosen families because they were runaway teenagers or someone who is financially unable to support themselves. But how much is the amount? And from a financial standpoint, how does it look like when a chosen family support each other? Now, one point is that biological family tend to have stronger and more personal connection because they spend longer times together, which in many cases of families holding different religions and occupations and still living under one roof. When compared to chosen families, it becomes clear that the connection problem still exists. Yes, you share similarities in identities, but other than that, you are still strangers to each other. And we believe this will look different in biological families because they have more feelings of responsibility. They have that nurturing feeling. They still love you. right? But maybe they just can't accept something new about you. By still existing with the family, you can still change them. You can try to fight for them to accept you. And soon the conservative community around you, at least you can try. And the backlash of being seen as some sort of delinquent group is dangerous and causes more prolonged backlash surrounding trust within a collectivist society held in most conservative area. And second point is that this is not as simple as flipping your hand. So I think government side have to answer the burden of the effective mechanism, or what can they offer by facilitating, what can they facilitate by promoting this narrative. What about young queer people who are not run away yet? They are still within their family. They are financially dependent. And what about conservative but loving family? They are actually very caring, and they just need more time to accept you. We want queer people to be happy with their life choices. So even if they choose their chosen family and leave their biological family, they won't do it without guilt. And my second argument is that there is no guarantee that this chosen family will sustain in the long term. Okay, it could be harmful for queer to try to maintain their biological family because their family might argue, there might be resilience, but this is not exclusive on their side because there is no guarantee that chosen families are actually a good person and they could easily break apart. They might understand the struggle that you share as a member of the LGBTQ plus community, but will they stay with you for a long time? Will they understand you as a person? And there's no guarantee that they will help with the first people mental health, just like the concern of the government side, because chosen families are also human beings. They have your own problem, and human are complex. I've also mentioned, what if they are actually using drugs? What if they actually are abusive, even though okay, we are both the same as an LGBTQ plus person. So in the long term, this could also create even more rejection for conservative people, which will be elaborated more by my next speaker. But in the end, we think that it's okay for both narrative to be advocated at the same time, and that's why we proud to oppose.
We thank the leader of OP for that speech. Next, we'll have the Deputy Prime Minister here.
Okay, thank you. Am I audible?
Loud and clear.
Okay, so I go by she and her. So for POI preference, just unmute because I couldn't see the chat. Sorry. And I guess yeah, I will accept the POI maybe between like in 4 minutes or something because I will focus on some arguments. So I guess I would start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Chosen family, as spoken by my first speakers, is those who you can connect, can be a bestie, can be a partner in crime who is a positive, and who can share, talk, and bond with. It can be your bestie, friend, or someone who is outside your relation, blood ties relation bond, who can be your emotional support as bond. That's a chosen family. I think that's very clear, and they already agree with our mechanism. So that is the thing. In opposition side, if you know that your family won't likely to accept, and even if they cannot accept, you don't have another safe place because the priority promotion exists, push you to believe that your incentive of your identity is your family acceptance. But in our side of the house, we already present you the mechanism of prioritizing and promotion, where we create a safer place for LGBTQ plus community to specifically share, meet, bond, and can see people and can bond with them to be a one chosen family. And and throw another burden for not another burden. I would ask the opposition side, cannot a chosen family be equipped with a big sister? Yes, it can. So there's a step with our mechanism of promotion and priority. Before going to my argument, let's getting into some rebuttal of big point from opposition. One, they're talking about connection with biological family, and they're talking about what if your chosen family is a wrong person like a drug addict and abuser. This I will flip and weigh to them. First thing, connection in biological family is actually the things that we're talking about, that we're scared about. If your only incentive about your identity is advocacy of your family acceptance in the very first prioritization, what if you feel the connection and your only incentive of identity, you only think it's about your family acceptance, not other people acceptance, not even your acceptance. The incentive of you will be more likely vulnerable to think that it's only about your family acceptance. That's why we're thinking we need to put one more step. We need to put one more prioritization. We need to promote one more prioritization that you are still acceptable in no matter what your identity in LGBTQ plus community member. It's also the thing that my first speaker already mentioned about, that this is the step for you to coming out to your family, that this is the step of you to get acceptance in your family without having an incentive to think that the only things about your identity is your family acceptance because of connection in biological family. We're thinking about that when you have connection in biological family, which is happening in the chosen family, you at least can have the connection only because of emotional support, and you can still go to your family acceptance one day when you're ready, one day when you can say to them after you get many feedback from your chosen family. But the second is, when they're talking about what if the chosen family is abuser, or what if the chosen family is a drug addict, I would say that in this is not exclusive, because if you play it case by case by saying the worst thing about our chosen family, it also happened in your real family. Family can also do that, especially conservative family. It's irrational to agree they're very abusive towards something they don't like, and even you cannot choose them. But in chosen family, you can choose them. You can see the very precondition of them being an abuser, and we, as an LGBTQ plus community, also offer a safe place, as my first speaker already said, to you to meet and to share. At least we can reach you to say, at least the other people who are in the same platform and community of this priority can reach you to say he is a very abuser who will just exploit you. You are more likely to go instead of in your echo chamber of family acceptance. But let's think that's what's collapsing the whole that's what collapsing the whole opposition argument. So I guess with our mechanization that they agree about, they need to provide another things that will can collapse our mechanization of offering the safer place as priority. But let's go to argument. My speaker already speak about this is a very first state to reach family acceptance. We do not condemn them who doesn't want family acceptance. No, but we're saying, what if instead of you hurting yourself by maybe doing some sort of quick family acceptance where they're likely to not accept you as they're in a conservative area, what if you can have our platform here to share, to have a chosen family? What if you can have this chosen family? What if you can have another person to be your big sister, be your chosen family? You can share with them, accept yourself first. They make you accept yourself, they accept you too, and they give you feedback to how to come up to your family. That's the thing. That's why it should be prioritized, not condemnation. The case of opposition is about condemning the things about chosen family by putting our worst case. But the thing is, we already mentioned you, even our worst case scenario where people is also abuser, we have a safety net coming from who? People who join our platform and ask themselves the LGBTQ plus movement, which is likely we protect them because the main interest of being a movement is to have your community member nurtured, sustainable, and living, right? So we're likely to protect them. They're likely to be protected. Our likelihood about protection here is completely wrapped our worst case scenario that cannot be touched by the opposition. In another argument, in general, chosen family is less toxic than family acceptance. Okay, this is not actually case by case, but this is about priority. When think about it, if I come out to my family acceptance after being advocated for so long, and then my family doesn't accept this, what should I do? What can I do? In opposition side of the house, I don't have anything, because why? They don't want to prioritize. They don't want to prioritize promotion by making the safer platform as they agree with our mechanism, right? That we create a safer platform. We don't have that. What should we do? We are confused. Our only incentive of identity is to be have a family acceptance. What can we do? But in our side of the house, even if family doesn't accept us as in the conservative area, we have a separate platform to have a chosen family. We have a chosen family themselves who can actually help us, who can actually say, it's okay, you can start maybe 1 month, 2 months, because your mother needs some time to accept you. It's fine. Here's how I can tell you. This is the feedback that I can tell you. Here's how you come out to your family, which is why the prioritizing of this promotion is better if in our side of the house, right? Because that's the thing. We have both safety net coming from us, and we have our best case and worst case. Our impact is we want safety and more stable mental health to our community as we are a LGBTQ plus movement. We want nurturing our community to strive without being afraid and or even confused on how to come out and get acceptance. Why we prioritize promotion of the chosen family? I already say you about the comparison of their side of the house that they don't anyway their base case even about a family acceptance as the very first place. They don't protect another layer of vulnerable actor, which is LGBTQ plus community who cannot be accepted. They don't fulfill the interest of you themselves in the motion as a LGBTQ plus movement, which is to protect our member without discrimination. What about those who cannot have, right? That's the thing. Like, back to the goal is that we already taught you with how our mechanization can at least please like create a safer place and safer preemptive for people who doesn't get accepted, but at least we still agree that they can be also accepted to family. That's why proud to be government.
We thank the DPM for that speech. Next, we'll have the Deputy Leader of Opposition. Here.
Hello, am I audible right now?
Loud and clear.
Okay, sorry, I was, I set my timer. Give me a second. Okay, for that, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. We already write, judges, that we are not denying the fact that friends and allies can still be formed with still maintaining a strong biological family connection. This is my rebuttal from their previous speaker say. See, Judge, they're also half stancing on their case because they say that power is also a half then. Because they mentioned how, oh, you can switch back and forth within families. They haven't actually give us a clear mechanization on how to promote chosen family and only rely on the mental health aspect of chosen family. I think they also have a too wide and changing definition of chosen family itself. They try to frame at first as if we can pick what friend or chosen family we want to be in. They try to frame it more like a community than chosen family. Fourth and Texas will judge will play on their word. Okay, community are seen as chosen family. However, while we need to prioritize family acceptance right now, because of the urgency of change within conservative families and communities, it's easy to find people online now. So it's not that urgent to just prioritize promoting queer to go over their chosen family. Second of all, we want to repeat the main interests of our actor, the LGBT movement, which is the vulnerable one in this case, what their goal is and what they might experience in this motion. We know that a chosen family serves as emotional support, and we did say that it's okay for queer people to find a chosen family. We don't say that we think the government condemns biological family acceptances, but the problem here is you are focusing on advocating one thing. Okay, we did engage to their point about how the chosen family can help you, but just how sustainable it is for the long term. We also mentioned about the prolonging impact to our movement, because here we are speaking as a social movement which will continuously making movement, which will continuously executing our agenda, and we cannot rush things and just think, oh, this, and we just like can cut off the solution in right now and just thinking about right now matter or like importance. We have to think further about what more likely happen in futuristic span of time. Conservative people could easily have a more biased and negative view because we are actively promoting the theorization of chosen family. It's a stance in our arguments. Moving on to our arguments. Here it is. We have to all remember that LGBTQ's main agenda is to make people aware and further stretch the current norms into wider spectrums they advocate. Yet as we see here, maybe it's not going to be easy. It's never easy. It's going to always be challenging. Even more right now, like even when people are getting exposed with the concept of LGBT, it's still like challenging to be done, right? To stretch their acceptance toward us. Like, because it's hard to move on from years of pent-up mindsets, but that doesn't mean we cannot still try and keep on being progressive. Since they want the LGBTQ community to raise their voice, they try to gain sympathy from people. In this case, there are two important actors, right, which is LGBT community and the household, or like family as the other. We know that from the status quo, there are already protesters of freedom, there are already orations, parents, carnivals, people that already accept them. It's already there to embrace the culture and ideology of LGBT community. But why the motion came in the very first place is because we believe there are still things to be significantly improved from what we already did. For the narrative, when the government is trying to say that it's not an urgency for LGBTQ participants to wait on biological family values, since they already got acceptances anyway for so many parties, there are already literally safe communities for them to comfortably embrace themselves. This is not enough.
Yeah,
Want to move, that means no, thank you. Later. If we want to move, that means we have to make a change. What's the point of changing things that are already changed? Even though, like, I think we don't have to further explain to you how deep family bonds were created, right? Even though there are broken home situations, abusive and all, I think that is not the case. We want to solely focus, since my first speaker has already convinced you enough with the difference between conservative and abusive. Family is a prime bond where you met and make interaction with them, being completely vulnerable and dependent with each other without actually asking for accountable material as the trait. It's form of sincerity. In conservative family, usually it's their older generation who are conservative, right? We believe that government just took on extreme cases of family, which as we know, most family are most of the time sincere with their relatives. We believe judges, conservative is a form of traditional values being brought mouth to mouth from generation to generation, and most people are forced to believe that. The reasons family mostly reject new things are because they are strange and they are afraid the consequence might happen. And I think rather than just doing open public protests, which might also only attended by unspecific target, which just can walk by and minutes after forget it, why not starting from a smaller scope? The family is just worried about what their child might face and it's still solvable panels. It's form of sincerity and we can actually take advantage of it with gradually embrace yourself. Like maybe it's not going to be as fast as chosen family going to accept you, but once you got their sympathy by something convincing your family and instead proving their paranoia wasn't right, the LGBTQs are such as there is stereotypes such as radicals, rebellic, and all, maybe the view you're going to accept is better than you just simply leave them and indirectly prove their stigma about LGBTQ's community are right. The harm they are trying to portray is actually happening in opposite the government narrative, judges, since even when they choose the chosen family and further on embracing themselves to continue the movement or like to continue to embrace themselves, you don't simply make the hateful shames thrown on them decrease by society. And even more, you just aid those hates and disappointments from your own family, which is you just adding the haters on your movement. Second of all, on our side of the house, we provide you judges with a better safety mechanism. Like we believe that if they say the dynamic of family is dangerously unpredictable, then so is chosen family, which technically are a complete stranger, no matter you have like the commonness or everything again and again, like because they are so concerned about the family internalized dynamics, then every human is just simply dynamics as well. That's why we strongly believe that what we should do is first, as our mechanism, admitting that you are part of LGBT community firmly. You are like accepting and admitting yourself as it, and advocating for families' acceptance in soft approach, maybe slow, small talks, but gaining stretching and the stretching you choose point of view about LGBTs and gradually normalize mindsets of the existence of LGBTQ in the family, which is our big goal as a movement, right? This is more feasible to execute since you are part of the family, right? You know their weakness point, you know how to sneak into their respects, you know how to impress them. Maybe you can be academically or financially successful and provide your family with their needs, proving that they're wrong, that just because you are gay, for example, you are a failure, just because you are trans, you're not going to be successful, you're going to fail all the way on your life. Just like for the example, Dr. Boyke, she actually provides her family with uh, her great jobs and so on and so forth, proving that her family was wrong. And also like maybe you can be academic, like let's say in opposition worst case, biological family can kick you out of those house, but in our side of the house, we still have the decent backup plans, which are our community, but doesn't mean we want to prioritize it, because when you left your house for chosen family, there will already hatred from your household. Thus, if you're facing problems in the community, you will most likely lose your get-go completely. It's easy to find chosen family anywhere, but it's not, it will be never another biological family of yours. That's why we still proud to oppose.
Thank you, DLO, for that speech. Next, we'll have the proposition whip. You're here.
Am I audible?
Loud and clear.
Okay, let me set up my timer first. So my pronouns is I goes by she, her, and my PI preference. Just unmute yourself. And I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. First of all of the opposition cases can only happen if the actor does not in vulnerable state that created from the society and family that my members keep telling you, right? We already told you that we are only going to prioritize this movement, right? But not going to ban the promotion that opposition propose anyway. There are still benefits from them. But this debate should be which one are we going to prioritize that government or our side keep telling you. But let's engage with them, right? They told us that there are conservative biological family, that is good. But the fact that will be one in a million and very privileged, we want them to say that the one that don't have this privilege, right, does not have the acceptance, not only from the family, but from yourself. We want to send them, and this is the only one can send them, right? Because this is another accessible way that we want to give them not only promote them to stay in the echo chamber family that under this status quo is not safe from them. And family acceptance through advocating, I think advocating is very hard for you to first accept yourself, because your incentive to be accepted is just to get your family acceptance. And it is kind of harmful if you are kind of unstable. We give you the mechanism that this platform would get to the right market, the one that need, the one that are part of the LGBTQ plus. This is still work in a conservative environment, because we do not market or target those who conservative and not part of the LGBTQ plus community. Obviously, when there is a platform for them to come out inside of the environment that do not accept them, that they will feel accept later, and people get more used to it. And our platform is a social movement. Social movement exists to liberate, to oppress, not to constantly ask for tolerance from those who reject them, right? In conservative areas, LGBTQ plus people are often asked to be patient, to educate the family, or to endure emotional and physical abuse in hopes of eventually find acceptance that opposition want to keep champion. And this real social movement should focus on building safe space, community strength, and unconditional support. And this is if you're a social movement to be significant, you need people who can join your community, right? Here in our prioritization, it gives them beforehand safety to join us, because the interest of many of them joining us is because the same reason as this motion exists, they don't get accepted by family in conservative area. This will fulfill the significance of social movement and will be more nurturing as the people is more comfortable to join and support you, which is the reason why in the status quo, the LGBTQ plus movement is very big, because they accept people who is rejected. And this is exclusive because only under our side that the social movement actually do it purpose. And clarification, we want safety and stable mental health for your vulnerable actor here, which is anyone that is LGBTQ plus in general, or the one who need acceptance, and the one who especially in the conservative area, which is commonly known as reject the idea of LGBTQ plus, which affect their mental health, and they are in the vulnerable state. This vulnerability is important for the LGBTQ plus community to sustain, simply because we are a movement. We need our members to thrive living and mentally healthy, as they are the one who will support and nurture our movement. Mental health is very important, as my second and first speaker already told you, and urgent for LGBTQ plus community. And mental health is important for you to carry on life. Some people are not strong enough to go to school, job, college, but because every second in their life they are being reminded they will go to hell or abused by their family. Being accepted is important. Human naturally always need validation, essentially as human, for someone to tell you that you are good enough to live, you are accepted, you are a human. That's make a human enjoying their life, even the world feels like hell. For LGBTQ plus to get accepted, to have their own family that accept who they really are. But in conservative area, these people will likely to accept you, and that's why there's mechanism of prioritizing this chosen family promotion to them for to be promotion to have them wider platform to be accepted. And that's why it is important to prioritize promoting chosen family. Chosen family doesn't suddenly will happen, as we already told you. You need to have the bond first. It is not something that you suddenly get adopted. You are the one who choose and they accept you. There are consent for both parties. That's why it is less toxic. Our worst case here, chosen family can be toxic. Yes, this is not true, because there are both consent. You can choose by your friend or etc. But even if it's happened, it is mitigated, because at the end of the day, you are know how does it feel to break free from the cage. You are have the experience how to be free, how to live, and that's why you will also have the freedom to actually join to your community. And essentially, additionally, my second speaker already told you, right, about the safety net, that we have our members to accept themselves and we have someone to accept them first, and then can still a bigger acceptance, which is a family. And at the very least, even our worst case is they are finally have someone to validate them, and that's why even our worst case is literally the best case for them. And even the rebuttal, they said it's not that LGBTQ will be punched in the street, etc. But yes, I will explain to you that my first speaker already explained why acceptance is important. And they said this community can use drugs, etc. That is unsafe and just can be alcoholic. And I think the problem is conservative family abusive, right? And the fact you cannot choose your family in the first place is harder. But anyway, after engaging with their case, we talk about the acceptance for themselves first using our movement that decision never engaged. And third, they said it's not to have chosen family. It's not easy as flipping hand to move to chosen family. Yes, it is true, but But I think your case it is harder. But like try to promote and convince family acceptance while they are your family contradict the idea of LGBTQ plus. It's like trying to tell someone to swim when they are drowning. It's like trying to tell depressed people how to heal. They need validity. They need extent. The extent which is in their side is not most likely to happen. Yeah, you can still sneak in when you want to go out right afford, and then you know their character, you know how to manipulate them or etc. But you know what? Because you know their character, it is most likely it's not most likely to happen to focusing family acceptance. Even because you are so long, you are literally born in their family. That's why you know that it is impossible to promote this your narrative. And we don't understand opposition vulnerable actor. It is the LGBTQ plus actor that live under the status quo or the LGBTQ movement. And sex conservative family most likely to be an older generation. Conservative village or community will still be conservative. The proof is why there is mafia solawat, which is the Gen Z that are literally contradict to any kind of LGBTQ movement. They are young, but they are contradict still, right? And clash and comparison judges what has the opposition brings? There are two questions. There are one question in this debate. There is acceptance that the actor need. Opposition side of the house come up with the utopia idea of the conservative family that will accept them, right? They bring on how important family acceptance because you live with them. But under the status quo, the conservative environment, we say that the personal acceptance is important by using our mechanism because they are literally in their vulnerable state. We explain to you how the conservative family will not most likely to accept you, and that's why I'm proud to be government.
All right, we thank the proposition whip for that speech. Next, we'll have the opposition whip here.
Hello, am I audible and clear?
Loud and
All right. Hold on. Okay. So I have no pronoun preference. My POI preference is simply just raise your hand or type something in the chat, type POI in the chat. And yeah, I will begin my speech in three. Oh, wait. Okay. I will begin my speech in 3, 2. First of all, I would like to rebut some of the things that government whip have said. My first rebuttal is that okay, even if in the end the choice is under one person's hand, we're still advocating this movement, and I think government knows that this advocation won't be in a small scale movement because it's just impossible for you to advocate this in a secretive way. This is also the very reason we explain to you why we should not prioritize this, because we have also framed that we don't oppose the concept of chosen family, or rather we never said that we should prioritize and we said that we should prioritize on maintaining family acceptance within biological family, because that is the urgency right now that we have repeated over and over. Second rebuttal is that Gov keeps highlighting chosen family as a platform that will always provide acceptance and support. And we did agree on that, since we are not against chosen family again, but we also question just how actually sustainable it is for the long time that becomes worth for the movement to actually promote it, because there are dynamics when it comes to biological family. We understand comes from biological family, and we also understand how complex a family dynamic is. So we're not sure how this chaotic dynamic can be realized within chosen family. We have mentioned an example on what if your family is indeed conservative but actually laughing. What if your father still struggle to accept your identity but your mother already accept you? Are you still going to prioritize the chosen family that you found? This is why we think that it's not that urgent for us to prioritize and shift our advocation, because in the status quo, as we have explained, both concepts coexist and are being fought for the same time, but the urgency still mostly lie on family acceptance, because chosen families are are a narrative that is already more exposed, especially towards the LGBT movement. Moving on to the clashes that are happening within this debate. So I have one clash here, especially about relationships within each family. Goff portrays biological families as like echo chambers, meaning that hate and ignorance are still going to be echoed throughout the conservative family. They rely on the fact that the chosen family provides you a safe space and emotional support, but they don't really elaborate on how this is sustainable for the long time, especially after we bring up a fact about financial issues, or perhaps how it is more easier to be let on within chosen families. They haven't engaged on our point about the better long-term benefits that will be received if the movement not only individuals promote family acceptance and actual change from within to happen. We believe right now chosen family is already a narrative that is already widely accepted, especially within the social movement, which is why we should finally switch our focus to family acceptance, because with the help of social media and globalization, like what my first speaker have said, it is not only much more feasible for change to happen, but we can change the narrative within those conservative communities to happen itself. Because again, we already mentioned how right now our focus is not again on chosen families because of its immense already influence within the movement. We have also repeatedly mentioned that we already engage with that point, and we think that we don't have to be repetitive about it again. Finally, moving on to my weighings on this debate. First, weighing on this. In Goff's world, they don't frame chosen family as a fully safe space, or like they don't explain it in a very clear way. They mention family, shared identity, siblings, but they don't mention the benefits of being inside it, other than again the mental health aspect. Only why it exists. We believe this doesn't appeal to our urgency in the status quo. Both sides of the house believe that communities already exist, and thus is the definition of chosen family from Goff's side. Now, with this context, we can clearly see how their urgency is lessened here because chosen family already exists in a large scale. We believe that it's feasible to achieve family acceptance in the status quo because of the increasing existence of communities and the increasing amount of influence that can be brought from the movement, not only one individual, to those conservative communities. Meaning our urgency to find family acceptance is a lot more important right now because one, we have found safety within community and the movement, and second, globalization allows families nowadays to care or know more about mental health, LGBT identities, or more progressive ideals. Even if in our worst case scenario, the family barely change and stay conservative, let's see again the potential future of the movement by promoting chosen family. They are not changing much and you are basically just sticking to the status quo. Moving on to second weighing, this is an actor's motion, remember. So we believe their claim about we have the wrong interpretation about LGBT community as the vulnerable actor doesn't make sense at all. In our side of the house, we took LGBTQ's participants into better attention by providing them an actual safer option, which is to gradually seek for families' acceptance rather than simply just shrugging off the problem and running away to spend your time more with those chosen families, looking for a quick cutoff without actually being mindful of what is more likely to happen in the future for the movement, just like how the government did. In their best case, they're going to be held by those chosen families and endings. That's all. They don't analyze further outside their personal benefits. They don't provide to us why it is okay for the biological family to stay conservative or become one of the other haters of already the massive hatred thrown to the community, and why it is not going to be furtherly harmful. But in our best case, within the biological family acceptance, we create further normalization, adding a more amount of supporters, and even better, the person's getting accepted from both sides. So the chances of bridging is more feasible to happen in our side, judge. And lastly, on my third weighing, we also did try to explain to you how it could create a bigger backlash for the movement, and there is a possibility of prioritizing to advocate the chosen family concept will lead to a more queer people will lead to more queer people just giving up on fighting for their family's acceptance, which we have framed as the main goal of the queer movement right now. As much as Goff says we can choose what to do in real life, practice is not that simple because you need to look again on the amount of how much conservative people or LGBTQ people around you. We also have said that you can still find chosen family online or offline without having to put much focus or prioritization on searching them, because again, oh, I see someone with the same identity as me. They're cool. We share the same ideas. I'm going to be families with them. However, again, by looking at that context, that is an easier concept that can be done more quickly. However, again, it is not effective by the points that we have already mentioned. You can still live with your family and try to fight for their empathy to accept you because you know that you have people in your back, people who will support you in more stable and long-term way, which is within those conservative areas. Again, so
POI.
for my final word, sorry, this is the whip. I'm not gonna accept it. But again, so I will prioritize again how since, oh, sorry, I didn't see my timer going off, but okay. That's all from me, which is why we should oppose the motion.
Thank you all for the speech. Just another general reminder for everyone to please keep your own timers on so you can end your speech appropriately, as well as deliver your POIs in a timely manner before the 6 minutes. Anyway, moving on, we'll have the opposition reply next. Here.
Am I audible right now?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Oh, okay. For that, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Judges, panels, we think that since the very beginning of the debate, it's clear that we have the same goal. But the problem here is who actually serves the most effective way or mechanism for us to work as a social movement, because of course we have agendas that we promote and advocate, right? I think it's clear that we have stated in the beginning that we agree on the same values and goals on how to make sure queer people, LGBTQs, community participants could feel more content or safer in their own space. But why then this debate is centered around what benefits the chosen family can give you? Because that is never the focus of the debate, because sure, we know exactly both sides could give you benefits. If you try to seek for the benefits, then I think both narrative will give you benefits. But which one is actually more preferable to be done in a long term, and how it is not gradually put you into a backlash? This is the clash that I found. First thing first, this is the very first clash where one thing opposition has failed to elaborate is the impact for the long time. And why does our side of the house keeps on mentioning this? Because we have said that we are going to advocate on very focused concept, and this will not happen in the narrative, because they in our counter narrative of their frame, it's like in our side of the house, we don't just try to find a cut off of what likely happened now. Maybe the pressure is so high. Maybe like you found yourself when you go into like teenager phase and you are exposed to the type of the LGBTQ community, and you found yourself, you try to pronounce yourself different than maybe you born as a cis female, but then you try to pronounce yourself as he, him, maybe, and your parents going to actually against that because they are not familiar with it. But that doesn't mean that it is not doable to be done in prolonging time, as long as you already gain their respects and they actually believe you, or like you justify enough to take your pronounce with that. Second of all, government has failed to prove to you why chosen's family bond is relatively stronger above reason of commonness and same struggle rather than biological family, which literally share the same bloodline with you, the place where you raised and born, and keep saying that it's less harmful between the LGBTQ people to be in the hands of people that are completely stranger, that might come into more diverse background, visions, point of views, etc., where we can both assume, right, like my three of previous speakers' arguments, that biological family will most likely to have same visions, maybe to create a happy family, maybe to create like a family that can work together and improve together. That's the goal of the family that already explained my previous speaker's argument. Like, we believe that biological family is more narrow scope, which has less risk, that unfortunately the government also has failed to prove that it's not. And even in their side of the house, we believe there are only thin layers of why they believe that they keep just making contradictory arguments towards ours without proving that chosen family is less risky than the biological family. And they just keep debunking our argument without actually weighing on their own stance of why chosen family is safe and having enough protection. Third of all, about mental health, we believe, judges, that it's still going to most likely symmetrically happen in both sides, whether in ours or in theirs. If they're truthful concern, because their first speaker came with the idea of mental health issue, then it will still happen in their side of the house, since there are no protection of, or like guarantee that there are not going to be depression and all, because maybe depression came from arguments, from like heated problems with each other, right? It will not, it's not like in chosen family, it's not going to happen, considering that they are in more diverse background, right? And last but not least, in our worst case, LGBTQ people might get hatred from the family, but at least they tried, and they're not going out in guilt feeling. And it's not always like they will get kicked out. Maybe they will get detention, but it's not always like extreme cases. But in their worst case, they will like have uh problems or like hatred with the community, and they will get kicked out, and they have nowhere else to go, since they also lost respect from their own biological family, which is their actual get-go. That's why we still oppose.
We thank the opposition reply for that speech. Next, we'll have the government reply here.
Am I audible?
Loud and clear.
I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. The reason why opposition side of the house cannot win this debate. First, they don't fulfill the interest and significance of social movement or LGBTQ plus movement, because this is the actor of the motions. They only speak in the perspective of the actor who is already accepted, right? We need to talk about how movement want this to be prior promotions as the gains, as this gains them people joining and supporting, because we accepted the rejected, right? That is why we are significant and long-term existing as people in vulnerable state is helped by us principally, right? And second, they fail to provide us a mechanism of advocations, which is why they should do. They only give us a utopia narrative that family will accept you, that we already explained this narrative give you a harm. So this is likely to be confusing for them to rebuttal, because family acceptance in conservative area is very, very hard. Nor as why, not as what they set up as to be accepted. Since if so, what is the point of this motion to exist, right? It's because the conservative family doesn't accept them. But why advocations of family acceptance can be priority? They don't explain. But we provide our mechanism in these motions about the chosen family, priority and promotions. We give you a clear mechanism, right? And that is the social movement that only government bring the urgency and timeline that is exclusive under our side. For long term, you have the better knowing yourself, accept and embrace it, right? All their argument, all their benefit can only run if these people first accept themselves under the status quo. This is what we try to keep telling you. Clash comparison. First, there is two clashes happening from the oppositions about connections with your family and long-term benefit for movement. Opposition bring that family's biological strong connections and more important. Second, they bring that for long-term benefit that choosing family is already a thing and don't need again. But here's what we bring. First, I think that is why the promotion of acceptance shouldn't true family who is very, very strong connection with you. They do not answer our worst case throne that what if your conservative family doesn't accept you? You don't have a platform as agreed in our mechanism. I think if chosen is already a strong and applied thing here, this motion does not exist for government because choosing family already exists significantly, right? But the thing about being in a social movement, you should still prioritize these promotions, as this makes those who is rejected to feel accepted in your movement. To your movement, choosing family is still a strong promotion that should be prioritized as movements. You likely to have a thriving member to support you, and how you can maintain your good label in front of people face with this mechanism of promotion in priority. Because if your priority of promotion is advocating family acceptance, I think there is no incentive anymore of your movement to exist, right? Only under our side of the house that can save this actor better, while the social movement can still thrive as it's proposed that we still explain to you that the opposition never touched the social movement, right? Because till now the government argument can still stand, and till now their argument and benefit only going to run if this premises run first. That is why government stand and government win this debate. Thank you.